In the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll open the floor up to citizens' comments. You'll have 5 minutes to...
Roll call, supervisors.
Oh, roll call first. We have excused tonight Supervisor Brunig, Supervisor Arrington, and Supervisor Anita Johnson. And Supervisor John O'Day. Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll open the floor up to citizens' comments. As I was saying, you have 5 minutes to speak. State your name and address for the record.
Mark Montague, 7835 36th Avenue, Kenosha. I'm here to, and I can never reach this microphone. I'm here to discuss Act 10 and our recertification vote that Local 70 took quite some time ago. We understand, through the newspaper at least, that the county is interested in doing something for employees. Raises, bonuses, I don't know how you're going to address it. What I think we need to do is just be able to negotiate that wage with the county the way Act 10 is stated. There's a lot of hiding and sniping behind Act 10. It shouldn't be used as a shield to keep us from trying to get to a place. I work for the highway department. We've been going fairly well. We've got a lot of new employees, aren't making as much money. It's a constant source of discussion. You're making so much, I'm making so much, why ain't I making more? They have addressed it with a pay for wage, a little bit higher job. We always had higher rated jobs, you got higher rate of pay. The county is now doing that, implementing that. Somewhat. It's, again, kind of a sore subject. Some people feel slighted. I will say that I appreciate Supervisor Molinaro's comments in the newspaper article that said we do deserve something. We don't want to come off like, you know, we are needing this raise or how much money we need. We just need to see something started for negotiations. Talked to personnel several times with no follow-ups, and talked to the county executive at a meeting out by our highway department, and he said if we need to push this along a little bit, by all means, let me know. By all means, I'm letting you guys know, because how many supervisors are there? 26, 27, 28? You guys can all see Jim and let him know that we're ready to at least start talking about the negotiated wage. If that's all we get, that's all we get. We understand that Act 10, like I said, it's been used as a shield. We want to take the shield on and just get something started for our employees. There are a lot of hardworking people out there, like they are in every job that the county has, and we'd appreciate some action. I want to thank you for your time, and I really liked what I heard at the Finance and Administration Committee meeting. You guys are doing a good job. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Diana Konecki, a DM, MBA, ACS Bioscience, consultant, author, and licensed associate legal shield, 5700 19th Avenue, number 4 in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm here to talk about in supporting a resolution for domestic partner benefits for the county. Part of my reason for support is that I've consulted and traveled in many parts of the country, including Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Boston, and Maine. And in all aspects, the community has been improved, and it has made the community more rounded. It has helped in economic development, and it has helped in quality of life for all. including domestic partners as well as all couples. Therefore, what I would recommend, if you wish to get additional information, you may wish to look at Sawmill, which is located in Dade City, which is a resort, community, and campground. They're partnered with Dade City in working on domestic partner benefits and later expanded to Tampa and other parts of Florida. Thank you again.
Thank you.
John Franco, 10732 64th Street, Kenosha. First of all, I'd like to thank all those involved with Resolution 33, in particular Supervisors Dodge and Underhill for sponsoring this resolution and getting it passed out of committee. It's the first step in the right direction to put political pressure on states to call for a constitutional amendment to overturn the Citizens United case of 2010. So far, 14 local governments in Wisconsin have passed resolutions in favor of undoing Citizens United, and 16 states have already passed advisory referendums as well. Clearly, there's an enormous grassroots energy by citizens to make a bold statement to state and federal legislators that our democracy should not be up for sale to the highest bidder. Unfortunately, this is precisely what has happened in light of Citizens United. We've seen a proliferation in the last couple of years of unlimited individual and corporate spending to super PACs and 501c4s, where wealthy donors do not even have to disclose who or how much money they gave to a particular organization or campaign. This situation has led to Senators Dave Hansen of Green Bay and Chris Taylor of Madison to introduce a citizens advisory referendum soliciting Wisconsin voters' opinions on whether unlimited spending on political campaigns should be allowed. Moreover, organizations like Move to Amend have written their We the People Amendment as a model where the ultimate solution to money in politics is to redefine personhood in the 14th Amendment as only referring to natural persons, not artificial persons such as corporations. Secondly, to say that money is not speech, it is property. It will be a long road to get 3/4 of all state legislatures to pass referendums recommending Congress take action on this pressing issue. But we have to start locally. And if it can be done, and there are proponents at the federal level who are already trying to convince legislators, such as with the Democracy is for People Amendment, then maybe, just maybe, we can have a government at all levels where politicians respond to the will of the people, not just to those who finance their campaigns. Thank you for considering this resolution, and I encourage the county board to vote in support of Resolution 33. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Katie Bellinger, and I am the president and CEO of Fair Wisconsin. Do I need to restate my address for you? I live in Fitchburg, Wisconsin. Fair Wisconsin is the statewide lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender advocacy and education organization. And I want to thank all of you tonight for considering domestic partner benefits. This is a very critical way to move your community and your government forward. And I really appreciate the consideration and the work that you're all doing to take this really important step forward. As we travel around the state, working with local communities, more and more places are realizing that not only is this make good business sense, as most major corporations already provide domestic partner benefits, it's an important way to show that you're a welcome and inclusive community and that you're able to attract and retain the best employees to invest in the future of Kenosha County. I'm happy to continue working with all of you as this resolution and ordinance moves forward, but just wanted to thank you for your leadership on these important issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Kennedy. My address is 4223 29th Avenue. I'm the alderman of the 10th District, and I'm here for the city of Kenosha. And I'm here in support of the domestic partner benefits. As you guys go through this process and start talking about the merits of this, I would like to offer my help, my Resources on behalf of the city, if I could help answer any questions in reference to the cost. Those people who are concerned about that, I will tell you that since we've opened this up, we've only had 2 employees at the city of Kenosha take advantage of this. And you might ask yourself, well, for such a small impact, why should we do this? And we could talk about the civil rights issue. We can talk about when Reverend Joseph Lowry was here and spoke at the UAW Martin Luther King program, and he said civil rights for one is civil rights for all. We could have that discussion. We could talk about the trend of the times and how how a lot of corporate America is seeing value in this, and they're also doing this. We could talk about those issues, but I want to give you one more aspect to look at. Here in the city of Kenosha, in the county of Kenosha, we have what I think is a pretty darn good community. And that is a result of my efforts at the city, my fellow aldermen at the city, and my county board members here today. When we're out there in that marketplace looking for good qualified people to come here and serve our constituents, we want to have the best package available. We want to show them the best things about Kenosha, the city and the county. We want to bring that talent here to work on behalf of our constituents. So when we talk about our beautiful lakefront, that's a gem. When we talk about the parks that we have in our city and through our county, that's another gem. When we talk about our location between 2 large metropolitan areas, but yet we still have a small town feel to us, that's a gem. Chicago, Milwaukee. When we talk about the transportation that we have throughout our area, whether it's rail service to Chicago, whether it's a major highway that goes right through our community, all that is a benefit. All that is a tool in our retention and recruitment toolbox. But now we start talking about how much do we value you as an employee? How much do we value your life choices? How much do we value your family? And when you have the domestic partnership benefits sitting there in that retention and recruitment toolbox, and they're looking at another community that doesn't have those same things, guess what? Kenosha County wins. And our constituents win because we get good people here working on our behalf to either maintain or improve the quality of life of our constituents. As this thing works through, I would offer anybody to call me. I will set up a meeting with our human resource persons at the city of Kenosha. You can talk about, get the information about the impact. But again, I just wanted to give you another thought. We can always talk about the civil rights, we can always talk about the money, but I really wanted to give you another thought in reference to recruitment and retention and how we get the best people to work on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wishing to speak? Anybody else wishing to speak? Anybody else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, citizens' comments are closed. Announcements of the chair. I have no announcements at this time. Supervisor reports. Supervisor Rose.
Thank you, and board members. The 2 rating agencies recently came out with the new bond ratings for Kenosha County. Standard & Poor's gave us the same rating that they gave us in the past year, a AA, with a stable outlook. Compliments on the strong finances of Kenosha County as well. Moody's declined from AA1 to AA2, but again, strong marks for our improved fund balance and our budget practices. The reason for the decline is pretty consistent with the decline in proper real estate equalization values since our last rating a little over a year ago. They have declined over 11% in Kenosha County. If you compare our equalized values to other communities, other counties, Moody's believe that our equalized value is more consistent with those communities who have a AA2 as opposed to a AA1. So I think we should be complimented by the fact that the county was given strong marks for, I say, the improved fund balance. Our budget practices were denominated strong. but the equalized value, which we don't control, declined, and thus the downgrade from Moody's to AA2. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Rose. Seeing no other lights, we'll move on to the next item.
Supervisor reports. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Resolution, when reading, County Executive Appointment 17, Terry Jacobson to serve on the Kenosha Racing Community Action Agency Board.
Refer to the Human Services Committee.
Resolution from the Executive Committee, a resolution to urge the amending of the United States Constitution to diminish the negative effects of corporate money in elections. Gantz, yes. Kubicki, yes. Rose, yes. Elverman, yes. Hallman, yes. Esposito, yes. Brunig, yes.
Supervisor Dodge.
Move to approve.
It's been moved by Supervisor Dodge, seconded by Supervisor Underhill to approve Resolution 33. Supervisor Dodge.
Yes, I ask your support for Resolution 33 to allow Kenosha County to play a part in restoring a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, which I believe has been diminished under the Supreme Court ruling on Citizens United versus FEC. That 5-4 ruling was based on the idea that corporations are people and money is speech under the Constitution. That decision was basis for another court decision 2 months later, Speech Now versus FEC. Based on the idea that money is speech, the Speech Now ruling removed the limits on PAC contributions, thereby unleashing super PACs on American elections. Citizens United decision opened the floodgates to rampant private spending in our elections. Together with the Speech Now decision, corporations, labor organizations, and the wealthy are allowed to spend unlimited amounts of money to influence elections. This serves to severely diminish the average citizen's input in the political process. This is not merely a feel-good resolution, it's a growing movement across America. It is finding support in both red states and blue states. It is supported by small business, as they too feel left out of the political process due to the influence of major monetary donors. I ask your support so Kenosha County can join the cities of Kenosha, Madison, West Allis, Fort Atkinson, and Whitewater, as well as the towns of Exeter, Koshkonong, Oakland, Westport, counties of Dane, Dunn, Eau Claire, Chippewa, Douglas, and Jefferson, along with the states of California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, and West Virginia, in asking for this constitutional amendment. This resolution is a small part of a long process, but one that we need to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Dodge. Supervisor Kohlmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to applaud the efforts of Supervisor Dodge, Supervisor Underhill on this resolution. I wholeheartedly agree with the spirit of this resolution. I think an issue like this should be a nonpartisan issue, that your freedom of speech, when you're drowned out by large corporations, large unions, just look at the way elections have gone the last cycles with super PACs, big wealthy individuals that can funnel money through. You don't know where it's coming from. It's tainted our election process. It's tainted the political process. It's made people, in my opinion, just sick of politics. And I think anything we can do to fix that, I don't have the answers, but I just applaud the spirit of the resolution that we have to fix this, and we're sending a message. So I wholeheartedly agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Kohlmeyer. Supervisor Molinaro.
Mr. Chairman, it says on the signature page here, resolution number 33 as amended. I believe I understand what the amendment was, but there's nothing in here that tells me what was amended. Is there some clarification we can get on that?
Yeah, the amendment, when it was first written, was to restrict the amount that corporations could put into the elections, and the amendment added labor organizations and the wealthy.
We wanted to tie into what the actual court
Labor
cases
organizations, excuse me.
Wait. We wanted to tie into what the actual court cases were, and in the court cases, they mentioned labor unions, so we wanted to concur with what they had done.
I understand that garnered significant debate in the committee, is that right? Or opposition, at least from the sponsors, original sponsors of the motion.
Pardon me, restate what you just said?
I said, it is my understanding that garnered quite a bit of debate in committee, and in particular, the sponsors of the initial resolution weren't in favor of unions being added.
Yes, we were in favor.
So what we're asking to be, thank you. What we're asking to be done this evening is to urge a constitutional amendment to the United States Constitution, is that right?
Through our state and federal representatives, yes.
Okay, so then we are asking to amend the Constitution in direct conflict to the opinion of the United States Supreme Court. So what I don't follow here, and I understand it, and we can talk at length this evening about where the corruption, where the perception of corruption is and where the reality of corruption is and everything in between in our political system. Let me make that very clear on what I'm getting at. But my fundamental problem is that we are ignoring what is a Supreme Court decision, the United States Supreme Court that is, and we're prepared this evening to urge the changing of our Constitution in direct conflict of what has been determined to be free speech, like it or don't like it in terms of the decision. So we've heard this evening from constituents who are in support of a resolution that I trust will be referred to committee this evening. Where are we going to be on any issue that the Supreme Court has weighed in on? If you take at face value the decision of the Supreme Court, how is it this evening we can vote to urge a change in the United States Constitution that is in direct conflict with that? And again, I'm not suggesting I'm in full agreement with how money flows in and out of our political system. At the same time, we have elected representatives in this country who have the ability to go into a committee meeting, make a decision on a bill with a cell phone in hand, calling their broker or their real estate agent, and buying and selling up against the very decisions they're making. If you read the book, Throw Them All Out, very early in that book, it states something to the effect, if you go into the United States Congress, the poorest individual in the world, and you don't come out a millionaire, and this I'm probably paraphrasing way more than I need to, you're either too stupid or too lazy to be there. So the problem is significant. I get it. And I agree with the title, Throw Them All Out. But how can we tonight pass a resolution that is in direct conflict with what our United States Supreme Court has decided? Again, I'm not suggesting you have to like or I have to like the decision, but the decision is there. Until that's changed, I'm certainly not going to support changing the U.S. Constitution that flies in complete opposition to what the Supreme Court has ruled. I urge you not to support this resolution tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Molinaro. Supervisor Decker.
Following up on Supervisor Molinaro, I agree with him wholeheartedly. This resolution is impeding on your First Amendment rights. I am against impeding on someone's First Amendment rights. Might not agree with what the Citizen United case said, but it's still First Amendment rights, and I am not voting against that. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Supervisor Hallman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really didn't want to speak on this, but I'm in favor of this. And there are two things that pop into my mind when I think about this. The first is that there's a line of thinking in law schools called critical law theory that has recently become, in some cases, seldom used, that questions whether the law was intended to protect the powerful or protect the weak, and it questions the nature of those power relationships, which essentially is what the Citizens United case does, is it skews the balance of the power relationships in the law to those who have larger financial resources to do things that the rest of us, whether we're individuals or small businesses, definitely could not do. The second thing that comes to my mind is something I learned in a high school civics class, which was that if 3/4 of the states decide to adopt a constitutional amendment, they could move it towards the federal level and change the U.S. Constitution, that we as citizens, as people, have that power to disagree with the Supreme Court. It exists in law, and we have a supervisor and some citizens who think that we should use that, particularly around this issue, and I happen to agree with him. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hallman. Seeing no more lights. Roll call is requested. Take a roll call vote. Really? That resolution passes 15-4.
Ordinance 9 from Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee regarding proposed comprehensive plan amendment, Arthur B. Bushing, owner, Bradley Zock, land use coordinator, Town of Salem agent, request an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan, from commercial, medium-density residential, and isolated natural resource area to park and recreational and non-farmed wetland in the Town of Salem. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, yes. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Decker?
Move ordinance 9.
Ordinance 9's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Dodge. Supervisor Decker?
This item is in conjunction with the resolution number 38 scheduled later on the agenda. This property is located just north of County Highway SA off County Highway 80, or State Trunk 83. The comp plan amendment will allow a revision of map 65 of the comprehensive plan from commercial, medium density residential, and isolated natural resource area to park and recreation and non-farmed wetland on part of tax parcel 66-4-120-233-0300 in the Town of Salem. The Town of Salem recommended approval of the request.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Seeing no lights, all those in favor of approval? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Resolution 10 from Planning, Development, Extension Education Committee regarding proposed comprehensive plan amendment, Jacob's Store. Owner requests an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan, from suburban density residential to rural density residential in the Town of Randall. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, yes. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Decker?
Move ordinance 10.
Ordinance 10's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Skalitsky. Supervisor Decker?
This item is in conjunction with the resolution number 39 scheduled later on the agenda. This property is located on County Highway P in the Town of Randall. The comp plan amendment will allow a revision of map 65 of the comprehensive plan from suburban density residential to rural density residential and will recognize a 5.3 acre property split that was completed in 2010. The Town of Randall recommended approval of the request.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Seeing no lights, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance 10 passes unanimously.
Ordinance 11 from Planning, Development, Extension Education Committee regarding Arthur B. Bushing, owner, Bradley Zock, land use coordinator, Town of Salem agent, request a rezoning from A1 Agricultural Preservation District and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District to A1 Agricultural Preservation District, PR1 Park Recreation District, and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District, Town of Salem. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, yes. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Decker.
Move ordinance 11.
Ordinance 11's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Underhill. Supervisor Decker.
This property is located just north of County Highway SA off State Highway 83. The rezoning is in conjunction with the comp plan amendment and would allow the town of Salem to develop approximately 27 acres into a community park and link it with a trail facility to existing park lands, in the same proximity to function as one community park. The town of Salem recommended approval of the request.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Seeing no lights, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That ordinance is passed.
Ordinance 12 from Planning Development and Extension Education Committee regarding Jacob's Store owner requests a rezoning from A1 Agricultural Preservation District to R1 Rural Residential District in the town of Randall. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, yes. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Decker.
Move ordinance 12.
Ordinance 12's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Dodge. Supervisor Decker.
This property is commonly known as 9730 388th Avenue, County Highway P, in the town of Randall. The rezoning from A1 Agricultural Preservation to R1 Rural Residential would recognize a 5.3 acre property split from a 117.5 acre parcel that was allowed in 2010. The town of Randall recommended approval of the request.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Seeing no lights, seeing a light. Supervisor Noble.
A little background, this was done in 2010 and it's not getting approved till 2012. Is this like a family member wants to build a residence there, or could we have a little background?
Actually, it's not a family member. What happened was this farmer divided his property without coming to the county and had the items recorded. And so now because they were recorded, we're aligning it with the recorded items that this farmer did.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Noble. Seeing no other lights, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance 12 is approved.
Resolution 34 from Finance Administration Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Mark Starzyk to the Kenosha County Housing Authority Board. Rose, yes. Ron Frederick, yes. O'Day excused. Grady, yes. Kohlmeyer, yes. Kubicki, yes. Molinaro, yes.
Supervisor Rose.
I would move resolution number 34.
Resolution 34 has been moved by Supervisor Rose, seconded by Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Rose.
The committee supported the resolution to approve the appointment of Mr. Starzyk to the Kenosha County Housing Authority Board. This is a reappointment. He has attended every meeting, 24 meetings. He's attended all of them. He is also a former member of the Kenosha County Board of Supervisors. I urge your support of this resolution.
Thank you, Supervisor Rose. Seeing no lights, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 34 passes.
Resolution 35 from Finance Administration Committee, a resolution awarding the sale of $9,765,000 general obligation promissory notes, Series 2013A. Rose, yes. Frederick, yes. Kohlmeyer, yes. Kubicki, yes. Molinaro, yes.
Supervisor Rose.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I would move resolution number 35.
Resolution 35 has been moved by Supervisor Rose, seconded by Supervisor Molinaro. Supervisor Rose.
Michael Harrigan, who heads the Ehlers, our financial advisors, presented the resolution to the committee this evening, and we supported the approval of resolution number 35, awarding the sale of the general obligation promissory notes to fund our capital budget. The winning bid was to Raymond James at the rate of 2.19%. If you look at the materials in support of the resolution that are on your desk in the folder from Ehlers, you will note that it was estimated and anticipated by Ehlers that the award would be in the range of 2.8%. Since it is 2.19%, this is a saving for taxpayers based on that estimate of some $275,000 over the life of the bond. Mr. Harrigan also reported that there was great interest in the sale, as there were 9 bids. The more usual and customary interest is 3 to 6 bids. So we are pleased at the results and thank Mr. Harrigan for a job well done. He is here if you have any questions, but I think that that highlights the factors with respect to the support of resolution number 35.
Thank you, Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Decker?
Through the chair to the chair of the Finance Committee, how many years are these notes? Are they 10-year?
Yes.
Have our notes been 10 years always in the past?
Not always. Most recently, in the last, this is just my own memory, but I would say in the last 10 years they have been, but in the past they have been longer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Supervisor Skolitsky?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just from the chair to the chair. On this page, it said to be signed by the Finance Administration Committee before the county board meeting. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see a page that was signed by members of the committee. Is there one in here?
It was signed at our meeting at 6:45 upon the conclusion of the discussion. They should be with the clerk. That's why it wasn't signed in the packet, as we had not met.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Skolitsky. Seeing no more lights, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 35 passes.
Resolution 36 from Judiciary and Law Committee, a resolution to approve the reappointment of Jim Huff to serve as a member of the Local Emergency Planning Committee. Sorry.
Pardon me? Whoa.
It's fine.
Okay, because it's bond related, we'll take a roll call on the last item.
Yeah.
We're not ready. Okay, they gotta wait a second.
Okay. Good? Okay, hold on.
What's that? Yeah, I know.
Thank you. Supervisor Ron Johnson, you want to hit it again? Thank you. Resolution passes 19-0.
Resolution 36 from Judiciary and Law Committee, a resolution to approve the reappointment of Jim Huff to serve as a member of the Local Emergency Planning Committee. Esposito, yes. Ron Johnson, yes. Boyd Frederick, yes. And Doug Noble, yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Resolution 36.
It's been moved by Supervisor Esposito, seconded by Supervisor Ron Johnson. Supervisor Esposito.
Thank you. This is a reappointment for Mr. Huff to serve. He is succeeding himself. He has made 12 out of the 12 meetings. Great candidate. I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Esposito. Seeing no lights, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 36 passes.
Resolution 37 from Judiciary and Law Committee, a resolution to approve the reappointment of Michael Tarasik to serve as a member of the Local Emergency Planning Committee. Esposito, yes. Ron Johnson, yes. Boyd Frederick, yes. Noble, yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Resolution 37.
Resolution 37's been moved by Supervisor Esposito, seconded by Supervisor Boyd Frederick. Supervisor Esposito.
Thank you. Again, this is another reappointment to the local emergency planning committee. Mr. Tarasak is succeeding himself. Again, his attendance was 11 out of 12. I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Esposito. Seeing no lights, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 37 passes.
Resolution 38 from Planning Development and Extension Education Committee regarding proposed comprehensive plan amendment. Arthur B. Bushing, owner. Bradley Zuck, land use coordinator, Town of Salem agent. Request an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan from commercial, medium density residential, and isolated natural resource area to park and recreational and non-farmed wetland in the town of Salem. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, yes. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Decker.
Move Resolution 38.
Resolution 38's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Skalitsky. Supervisor Decker.
The state requires a resolution from the Planning Development and Extension Education Committee and an ordinance from the full county board to amend the comprehensive plan. The resolution would allow an amendment to the Kenosha County Comprehensive Plan for a change from commercial, medium-density residential, and isolated natural resource area to park and recreational and non-farmed wetland. The town of Salem recommended approval of the request.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Seeing no lights, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 38 is passed.
Resolution 39 from Planning and Development and Extension Education Committee regarding proposed comprehensive plan amendment. Jacob Store, owner, requests an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan from suburban density residential to rural density residential in the town of Randall. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, yes. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Decker.
Move Resolution 39.
Resolution 39's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Underhill. Supervisor Decker.
The state requires a resolution from the Planning Development and Extension Education Committee and an ordinance from the full county board to amend the comprehensive plan. The resolution would allow an amendment to the Kenosha County Comprehensive Plan for a change from suburban density residential to rural density residential. The town of Randall recommended approval of the request.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Supervisor Noble.
Earlier this evening, I asked for clarification why some of these are on the agenda twice. It just occurred to me that some are on 3 times. Can you kind of explain why we have to have it on the agenda 3 times?
I'll point to Resolution 39, like you're speaking on. First of all, we have to have it as an ordinance to change the comprehensive plan amendment, and then we have to have a resolution to change it as a comprehensive plan amendment. The state requires that by law, and then it's also on a 3rd time because we are rezoning it.
A lot of redundancy. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Noble. Seeing no other lights, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 39 is passed.
Resolution 40 from Planning Development and Extension Education Committee regarding request to approve the appointment of Andy M. Bueller to serve on the Kenosha County Land Information Council. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, yes. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Decker.
Move Resolution 40.
Resolution 40 has been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Dodge. Supervisor Decker.
This resolution would approve the appointment of Andy M. Bueller, representative of the Department of Planning and Development, to the Land Information Council for a 2-year term until July 1st, 2015. Mr. Bueller will be succeeding Mr. George E. Melcher, former director of the Kenosha County Department of Planning and Development. The Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee reviewed this information at their meeting August 14th, 2013, and recommend approval of the appointment.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Seeing no lights, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 40 is passed.
Resolution 41 from Planning Development and Extension Education Committee regarding request to approve the appointment of Dr. Kurt W. Bauer, Kenosha County Surveyor, to serve on the Kenosha County Land Information Council. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, yes. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Decker.
Move Resolution 41.
Resolution 41's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Skalitsky. Supervisor Decker.
This resolution would approve the appointment of Dr. Kurt Bayer, Kenosha County Surveyor, to the Land Information Council for a 4-year term until July 1st, 2017. This will be Dr. Bayer's second appointment to the council. The Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee reviewed this information at their meeting August 14th, 2013, and recommended approval of the appointment.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Seeing no lights, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution is passed.
Resolution 42 from Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee regarding request to approve the appointment of Supervisor Michael Skalitsky to the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, yes. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Decker.
I'm sorry.
Pardon me? Supervisor Dodge?
I correct that. Supervisor Dodge voted no.
Okay. Supervisor Decker.
Move Resolution 42.
Resolution 42 has been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Underhill.
This resolution would approve,
Supervisor Decker.
This resolution would approve the appointment of Supervisor Michael Skalitsky to represent Kenosha County on the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission for a 3-year term until September 15th, 2016. Mr. Skalitsky will be succeeding Supervisor Kimberly Brunig. The Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee reviewed this information at their meeting August 14th, 2013, and recommended approval of the appointment.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Supervisor Esposito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Supervisor Decker. So obviously, can you explain to me, Supervisor Skalitsky is eligible for per diem and mileage reimbursement? Can you elaborate on that for me? Is that through Sewer PAC, and can you tell me what that entails?
I do not know that information.
Yeah, if Supervisor Skalitsky could, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Supervisor Skalitsky.
Okay. I only know this because I sat in the up debate. It's at the representative's choice. It's $50 per meeting. I think there are 4 commission meetings plus 4 committee meetings per year, and just reimbursement for mileage because most of the meetings are held up in Waukesha. And I believe that reimbursement is through the Sewer PAC organization.
And obviously,
it's not through the county.
Okay, and obviously this has been something that's been standard protocol.
Yeah,
prior.
I guess so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Esposito. Thank you, Supervisor Skalitsky. Seeing no other lights, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Resolution 43.
is passed. Go ahead. Did you get his no?
So yes, I did.
Okay.
Resolution 43 from Supervisor Hallman and Rose, a resolution to extend health benefit in the employee health insurance plan to domestic partners of eligible County of Kenosha employees and their dependents.
I'm going to refer this to the Finance Committee.
Communication from Andy M. Bueller regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Receive and file that communication.
Claim, Peter Richter, damaged vehicle window.
Refer to the Corporation Council.
Supervisor comments, Supervisor Hallman, Patient Protection Affordable Care Act.
Supervisor Hallman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I probably could have done this as a committee report, but with the content involved, I wanted to separate it out. There's been not a whole lot necessarily said about the PPACA, PPACA, also known as Obamacare, or the Marketplace, as some are calling it. We do know that it bans pre-existing conditions, bans lifetime caps, allows states to write the definition for what qualifies as charity care, and mandates that everyone have health insurance. I wanted to raise this because this is actually a really, really huge law, and it affects really 3 different groupings of people that we serve: small business owners, individuals, and folks that are on Badger Care / Medicaid. The focus of this is really on the uninsured, folks who are on Badger Care / Medicaid, and folks who have marginal insurance. The federal government currently picks up 60% of the cost of Medicaid. A full expansion of Medicaid would have had the federal government picking up 100% of the cost through the year 2017, and then slowly reducing the federal share to 90% by 2020. Governor Walker has rejected $4 billion that was allocated to Wisconsin through the law through the year 2020, which would have been the accumulated total of $4 billion for a full expansion of Badger Care Medicaid, which would have allowed Wisconsin to retain folks who are 101% to 133% of the federal poverty level on Badger Care. As a result of the rejection of those federal funds, the state of Wisconsin is, shall we say, paying out $119 million in the 2013 through 2015 budget biennium. Through the year 2021, that amount rises to $459 million that the state is going to be paying out, and that's reported from the Legislative Fiscal Bureau. A recent RAND Corporation study found that the states that are rejecting the federal money for Medicaid expansion would miss $8.4 billion a year in federal payments. I'm saying this because there is a movement through the Wisconsin Counties Association, as well as some other counties in the nation, where the state legislatures or governors who have decided not to accept federal funds, those counties have tried to find some way to take it upon themselves to say, we would like to accept the money for various reasons. So this is something that's being talked about, particularly in La Crosse and Milwaukee, and you will probably see some movement on this. Continuing on, I want to let folks know that because of that rejection of the federal funds, the Badger Care is changing. Folks who are between 101% and 133% of the federal poverty level will be pushed into the marketplace to have to buy insurance. There is some conversation that the federal government is still going to grant subsidies to people to purchase health insurance. There was some question as to whether or not for the states that had rejected a full expansion of Medicaid, if the Fed was still going to do that. They've said that they are. A study from the Kaiser Family Health Foundation estimates that the subsidy will be roughly $2,672 for a family plan at the silver level. The state of Wisconsin has estimated that 28,245 people in the Wisconsin-Kenosha Racine Partnership, that's our income maintenance consortia that we share with Racine, will be impacted by the changes to the Badger Care Plus due to the changes for the federal poverty level criteria and the marketplace implementation that will occur. So the question remains, how many folks are we talking about in Kenosha County specifically? If you look at our local data on poverty status and health insurance coverage for 2008 through 2010, the Wisconsin Family Health Survey Office of Health Informatics Division of the Public Health of Wisconsin, an entity of the State Department of Health, has said that we've got 15% on Medicaid, that's Badger Care, and 7% uninsured, which is 22% of our population. If you estimate that off of a population size of roughly 170,000, that's 37,400 people. You could perhaps include another 3% that might be looking to make changes to their current health care through the exchange, to the marketplace, and then we're talking about 42,500. So it is a fairly significant chunk of our population that's going to be affected by all of this. The focus primarily with this is on enrollment into the marketplace. That's going to be, advertising for that is going to start on September 20th. The first wave of state notices scheduled to be mailed out on Monday, September 23rd to the folks who are enrolled in Badger Care Plus that will be affected by some of these changes due to the non-reception of federal funds. The opening enrollment date for the marketplace to people to purchase insurance is October 1st. And that enrollment will be open until March of 2014. There are a number of different types of plans and costs and different types of coverage and fees. There's going to be something different for kids than there are for adults. There'll be something different between adults from those who have children from those who do not. I'm aware that many of you are at various stages of comfort with this as an issue. My personal advice to all of you is that regardless of whatever mix of partisan leanings or philosophies that you may have, is that you help your constituents avoid the tax hit that will come provided they don't purchase insurance, which at this point is slated to be $95 for an individual. That is if they don't have health insurance come March of 2014. So what does this mean for us as county supervisors? Aside from what goes on with our income maintenance consortia, which we, the county board, and the Human Services Committee will continue to monitor and, of course, update as necessary. Like I said earlier, you might expect to see some movement through the Wisconsin Counties Association about this, possibly even a resolution through this body about the rejection of federal Medicaid expansion funds. There is a toolkit that's available through the National Association of Counties. The new president, Linda Langston, sent out a letter digitally with a couple of links to some things in NACO so that county board members can gain some knowledge and insight on this issue and be able to talk to their constituents. You may also want to consider joining the Enrollment Rollout Provider Network, which is something that the State Department of Health Services is putting together with not only healthcare providers, not only folks who are involved in local government as far as income maintenance consortia are involved, but also folks who are community advocates, church groups, so forth, to try to help get people enrolled and get folks into this. You might want to consider also getting yourself certified to enroll people. Apparently, there is an entity out there that if you would like to, you can do that. There is a county in Texas that's using their VITA workers, folks who work with people paying their taxes who are low income. One lady said, well, it's just as complicated as the tax code, so why don't we use our VITA workers and get them trained to enroll folks, and so they're doing that. But in closing, there's very little education about what people are getting with the Affordable Care Act. And so I've been working on a town hall since February. Initially, I wanted to have two, one east of the interstate and another west of the interstate, and I still may do that. I'll keep you posted. But for now, I can definitely tell you that I'm hosting a town hall on October 8th. The plan is a start time of 7 p.m., although that may change slightly. I should know better by the end of this week. All the speakers are confirmed. The details regarding the location should be finalized by the end of this week as well. There are two components to this town hall that I'm having. The first will be speakers, one from Citizen Action of Wisconsin and the other from the UW Population Health Institute. And the second portion will feature a provider roundtable with Molina Healthcare, Common Ground Cooperative, and CommCare Blue Cross Blue Shield. Those are the three that are approved for our area through the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance through the state. If any of you would like my notes, just let me know, but I would like to point out that this information does exist on my website, davidhallman.com. You can find it on the homepage on the Human Services Committee tab. It's also titled Notes from the Committee's Chairman. Presently, it's a two-part posting. Both parts are on there. You'll find all of this information as well as some analysis using state economic data about income, occupation, and family size about Kenosha County to try and gain a more accurate picture as to who would be affected by this. Those postings also include a table calculating the federal poverty level in various ways. So for those of you who wish to make use of that, I would definitely suggest that you do that. One of the things that I'll also mention is that one of the changes that has occurred in the workplace since the, shall we say, the financial crash of 2008 is the adjustment of what qualifies as full-time work. In some places it's 40 hours, in other places it's no longer 40, it's 36 or 38 and a half. And so that may have an effect in terms of income and where people might fall in terms of making use of the Affordable Care Act. That information is also on the website. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hallman. Supervisor Molinaro.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just quickly follow up on Supervisor Hallman's comments. I think he made the statement this is a really, really, really big bill. I couldn't agree with him certainly any more than that. He mentioned two issues, or two things though. One, very briefly, that this will affect small business owners. And then of course went on to talk about how it's going to help everybody else. It will affect me significantly and my 17 employees to the tune of an automatic 40+% increase in our health insurance premiums. So when you call it the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act, it is anything but affordable. Then you very casually talked about little info of what people are getting. Well, there is a whole boatload of information about what I'm getting and what my employees are getting, and that is a significant bill to cover, once again, another handout. So I appreciate all the information, but I'd certainly like to make sure we're broad-based and cover it all. We can sign people up to go to the polls. We can sign people up to get people enrolled in this Affordable Care Act, but it is anything but affordable for myself, my family, and the 17 families that I employ. And that is horribly unfortunate for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Molinaro.
Approval of the August 6, 2013 minutes by Supervisor Kohlmeyer.
Supervisor Kohlmeyer.
Motion to approve the August 6 minutes.
Supervisor Kohlmeyer has made a motion to approve the minutes, seconded by Supervisor Grady. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. It's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Skalitsky to adjourn. All those in favor? I don't have to provide it.